So, Christian, what would be your impressions about the project? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
About the booklet, what I find interesting is that it, at one hand, it defines some, it makes some clear definitions about these three zones or arenas, like the social and nature ring, the inner creative ring, and the outer ring space. And at the same time, can you hear me? I cannot hear you.
I can hear you, but it's very low. Can you raise your volume?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would appreciate if you can speak up a little bit.
Okay, good. What I find interesting about the booklet is that it, after analysis, it presents these three circles or the three zones, which at one time, on the one hand, is both very precise and concrete, but still it's very, very open, like how these three zones are going to be filled, what kind of organizations, of activities and furnitures, elements, etc. It's possible to imagine, etc. So I think it's very important, this relation between, okay, it's proposing something that is in one hand quite clear and concrete, but still is open for the next phase, the stage of participation. And also very interesting to see, like, eventually, will these three circles change after the next stage of participation, or will they remain more or less the same after the next stage of participation?
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'm saying that you were describing a bit the simplicity of the public space as it is now, of the square, and how what is the big potential it has to develop different uses coming from a very simple thing, very flat thing. That's what I understood. So after this quite accidental starting, this is a good sign. It's going to work. So I asked Agatha at the beginning about her thoughts about the project. She was thinking in bridging the gap between design and actual use of furniture in public spaces, how people use objects and furniture, and how they should be asked and they should be counted upon. Is that right? Yeah? Okay, cool. Then Christian was telling us something about the potential of the space, but we had this problem connection and things went a bit wrong. So I'm going to ask now Eva to give us her first impressions about the project.
I was looking at the information you sent us, the booklet by PDF, and I'm used to verify the projects the students do. It's a correct project. I agree with nearly all that is exposed there, but I found it conventional. I expected from this occasion, this chance, a different way to look at designing public spaces from a different point of view. That's the reason why I wrote the post, because sometimes we do things with our previous understanding of things through academic eyes, and I do not want to say that the ideas in the booklets are not correct, but I found them conventional, and I would like to test, to check different ideas of urban designing. and urban uses from different groups of persons. I'm involved in gender approach to architecture and urban design, and I'm very interested in the work of Dennis Scott Brown and the movements in the 60s and 70s in USA. So I propose you a different way of look at things, only that. But not because, I want to insist, not because I found it incorrect. It was a great work, a very documented work, but not in the way I think it should be.
So we're saying that, Francesco and me, we're saying that this is the kind of input that we need. Saying, okay, well, I like this stuff, but I think it's conventional. I think it could be added, or it's missing a particular perspective. And I'm really excited with this, with Scott's reference. I think there is a lot of very rich inputs in the literature of the 60s and 70s. It is amazing when you look at the literature, the databases of articles, and you want to look for studies on public spaces, playground, children. Most of the stuff is written in the 60s or 70s, and some in the 80s. There's very little written in the last, I would say, 20 years, 15 years. Most of the seminal work is very old, because it was when these was open. Public spaces were open to kids, and kids were made somehow protagonists of the city. Probably the first one to do this was Aldo van Eyck, the Dutch architect that sort of bombed Amsterdam with fantastic playgrounds in the post-war. But after that, there was like a 20-year thing, and then suddenly it's a bit over. So we're really keen on these comments. Okay, thank you, Eva. Rosa, how do you feel? How do you see the project?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my impressions about the work, about the document in PDF. I read about measures for more proximity in the square, and I think it's a good measures, because try to interest for a new cultural center and more space for pedestrians, and it's important to gaining in transport, and it's a curious point for a seasonal strategy, because snow is falling during 6 months approximately. It's really important to design in public space. And another thing is important to know more participation about this space. And I don't know, I need to know more opinions for people which live here, live in the square.
As we are doing a roundtable, I'm adding my opinion, okay, on that. I hope it could help you. And this is related to what Rosanna is commenting right now about the need of more information about the site. So, as a coordinator of the digital activities of Dreamhammer, and especially of these online workshops, I would like to focus on one point, that is why we would like to share this experience of design with people from all over the world, such as you. Is that we would like to have a very different approach from people who don't know exactly the site, because For instance, in the last session, we had Azem in tactical urbanism. He's from Egypt, and he was proposing some ideas about how to work with the snow. So we think that it will be the interesting thing is to have, for instance, someone from Egypt, which is a very warm country, thinking about snow in a very different way. So, Rosanna, if you need specific information or if you have specific question, just ask us by writing to dreammam@gmail.com. But I think that it will be very interesting to have a general brainstorming without knowing too much, you know, because okay, I think it was Picasso who told that he had to study 40 years to learn how to be a kid, and I think it's like in the first session we should work like that, just having quick ideas and maybe crazy ideas about the square, and after that maybe we can focus on details. I don't know if Andreas agrees with me.
It makes, to me, I mean, your question makes a lot of sense, because I am, before I met these guys, I always ask myself, how can they do all these things, and how can they do them in such a creative way? Because I always think I need much more information. And this is probably my sociological perspective or my academic background as a researcher, that you need to have a lot of data to have a very, very stored approach to a topic. I think the work, the way they work is more like, okay, let's see what happens at the beginning, and then we will go into it. And now I think this is a good approach for maybe not for an academic scientific work, but certainly for an applied research like the one we're doing. So I sympathize with you, Rosanna, but I think Francesco is very. I think it's very challenging, his method.
Maybe, Rosanna, do you think that you have enough information in the booklet for just to start thinking, or not? Rosanna?
Francesco, could you please repeat? It's really difficult to hear.
Okay.
Could you please repeat the question?
Okay, I was wondering if you think that you have enough information in the booklet to start thinking and to start having ideas about the square.
Well, I don't complete to read the booklet, but
Okay.
it's my general impression. I need to read more. Your information, it's okay. The page is really complete, and it's I say my general information for physical conditions, but it's for me is really difficult to understand the Norwegian
Culture.
yeah.
Okay.
The aspect is not for the information. Information is okay, but
Okay.
I try to understand the Norwegian culture and something like that. You know?
Yeah. I think that's probably why we are here. It's a mix of suggesting new things, of suggesting fresh ideas, but also having in account a bit what's going on in that country, how people use public space, how people live public space, how people perceive their relation with the city, with public administration, with the neighbors. So I'm collecting inputs from our team there, and I'm looking at some literature on participation, which is not very easy to find, I have to say, in English, but there are a lot of studies. There's some studies I'm checking out. So we're having this. We're going to try to put together these two inputs, and of course that's part of my work. I'm not an expert in Norwegian society neither, but but I can put some inputs from my own experience, from the experience of my colleagues, and from the literature we are gathering. So just you know, follow this experience, and we probably would find much more about the Norwegians and public space. Just to give you a hint on how important this project might be for the city, coming out from a society in which there is some community life in terms of associationism, especially sports and cultural, but there is also a tension between community life and individual character, and how people are contributing to the project up there in Norway. It's very interesting because they rather prefer to show up in the offices and give their ideas face to face than to go to a meeting and to spend more time and to confront other ideas with their ideas, so on and so forth. So I guess this gives you a little bit of a hint on what kind of users we should expect to use the future projects, the future project of Storgata Square. Rosanna?
Sí, yeah. Okay, want to learn more about.
Okay. Christian, could you? Sorry, we had the problems before you. We were disconnected. Do you mind to go again through your arguments about the project, the booklet? Could you develop on what you said before?
Yes. What I said before I lost the connection was what I find interesting is that there is already this urban strategy. Also the booklet contains this urban strategy about the 3 zones, the 3 rings, and I'm interested and curious about how this will be filled, changed, or in some way be dynamic after the stage of participation, because the strategy of 3 circles, zones, are quite precise, but still it's very open. How it's going to be, in what sense it will be filled, or yeah. So I think this is interesting about design and what will be the in what sense it will be containing something similar or different later in the process.
I'm saying that you have a potential user of public space near you, don't you?
Yeah. Not alone. Yeah.
Maybe we could ask him or her how does he perceive this space, but probably he's too young and to have an opinion yet. In a couple of years he would. Okay, so are you thinking in starting like something, adding some elements to the Ecosistema Urbanos proposal? Are you thinking in general? I'm talking to everyone now. Are you thinking in making your own project apart from that, or just adding something to some of the programs that we have suggested? What do you feel like? Agata, what would be your wish? What are you thinking about? Because we need to start thinking about specific tasks that you'll have to do, okay? Because we only have 4 sessions, so this is intensive work. Okay? Yeah, Agata.
Yeah, I was thinking about analyzing more the activity of the people, which that when I don't know if you heard it before when I was talking and disconnecting, but I was thinking about it, that people who will be on a square. They go for the activity which is on a square. They could be the square could be also a transit for them, only a communication. They could be passerby, and also the third part is the flaneur, that the space could be used like the flaneur that the Benjamin Walter Walker, the stroller, that people that the space is only used like for a stroll, simply, without any like in Benjamin Walter, yeah, and I was thinking that I was read what Eva post on his on a blog, and I was thinking about this shopping malls. They're like non-places from Marc Augé, and it's kind of like that how we could create this square for the how new stimulus we need to, and new reasons need to, that this square could be also used like for people who simply don't want to stop or don't want to do something special there, don't go especially for this square for activity, but want to stroll, maybe they stop, maybe they don't stop. How new stimulus we need to. So that's the three parts of the activity of the users.
Okay, it would be just to give the space, in Spanish it would be estanciar, like a place to stay. I don't know how you can say that in English. Staying place or something, just to stay. So this is a very interesting notion which goes from public space to place, and from using to staying, which is a form of using, of course, but it's a very specific form of using. So I think this is very interesting. And when you were saying this idea of strolling, I have to think about the any square in my country, in Spain, and probably in most European countries, in maybe 40, 50 years ago, in which people would just meet, and in some parts of Spain, the guys, the boys, the young guys would stroll in a direction, and the girls would stroll in a different direction. Yeah. So they could all see each other's face, but of course no touching, no interaction, but a lot of tension, I believe. But it was the space used as a strolling place, as a wandering place, but also to stay there, because you can stay, moving around. And it was full of activity, because maybe there was not sports going on, but in this particular action of strolling women and men in different directions, you were basically finding the mother of your children, or finding a flirt for for the next festivals, or where you were just seeking, you were exercising social control. Social control is not only exercised by police or cameras, but it's also exercised, tradition has been exercised by other people looking at what other people would do, and censoring and sort of castrating some activities because they were not appropriated or immoral or whatever. But now we have Facebook, but I think it would be a good idea to think about the square as a Facebook place, and to articulate the square in terms of these traditional uses, which are beautiful, with Facebook. And as a matter of fact, there is an application on iPhone, which I can't remember the name, which is for people to have well, it has different applications. One of them is for gay community to have sexual partners in very immediate time. So you are in a place and you start seeing ping, ping, ping things around, which is guys that want to have sex with another guy or something. These kind of applications, which are incredibly useful if you want to have like sudden sex, can also be very interesting in terms of building small networks or affinities or something like that. in public spaces. So to some extent, this intuitive idea is that they can substitute the circular strolling. Probably now it's less fun, but it's more efficient, which is what we're looking for all the time within our society. So Eva, what would you be thinking and doing? What do you think you can contribute to?
I really don't know, because I wouldn't like to do a closed design. I'm trying to go outside the idea of doing a formal design closed, because I think the more important thing is the connection of the square with all of the urban places in Hamar. The circulation, as Agatha was speaking about, person in all the nearby, but a very big nearby around the square, and a multifunctional, multi-proposal space for different uses along the year, along the day, or Jesus. Or for me, the problem with your ecosystema option in this moment is that it is focusing in designing. And I think it should focus in relations, in connections, or in open-minded opportunities for everywhere. I don't like villages. When I was a child, it was, as you were saying, a way to marginate people in small places and to be controlled by everyone. So everything that is open-minded is better than a normal square for me. I don't know your opinion.
Yeah, I have to say that I was briefed with the project a couple of weeks ago by Jaime, one of our colleagues. I asked a bit the same. It's like, well, this is like, why are you doing the square? Because if you see the maps, the square is like here, and this is the church up here, and then you have the sea, and the sea it has a transition. So my instinct as a person, basically as an urban person, like this should be treated, as a whole. And apparently the whole project, not the proposal by Ecosystema, but the project as it has been proposed by the commune, by the city of Hamar, is a bit complex in that part, in that sense, because there are different parts, different streets, different spaces that connect one place of the city to another, which have a lot of meaning altogether, but they have been ordered, or they have been designed separately by different professionals. So someone is doing the pedestrian streets, other guys is doing the new library, another team is doing the connection with the sea, and sorting out the railways and the roads in the southern part of the city. So I fully sympathize with what you're doing. It should be a strategic planning or general plan of the city, a thorough proposal. But we have been given little parts. So to some extent, we should work, and this is maybe your proposal. We should work with proposals on how to connect these other parts in between them. Especially, I would be very keen on the idea of working on the southern part behind, linking the sea with the square, and the link between the square and the pedestrian roads, which obviously are going to generate these flows that would give more sense to the square. That's my personal perception.
No, I'm very keen of that idea. For me, several designs are able to fit in this square. The problem is not the design, the final design. Maybe it could be more cool, fashion, or traditional. For me, that's not the main problem. I have my taste, and I prefer academic design. But that's not the question. The question is how it's going to work that in the city. How this opportunity is going to show that the more important thing is linking the place to the whole of the city and making a new structure, virtual and physical, both.
Sorry, were you thinking about that for next week? We should start thinking about what each one is going to contribute to. So I would ask Agatha to maybe to think about some uses, some potential uses in terms of these three elements that you mentioned. I would ask Eva to maybe to work on connectivity, whether in a general way or in a specific way, taking some of the sections of the surroundings of the square to work them out. I think that would be a very interesting thing, and it can be very technical and academic or architectful. What about you, Christian? What do you think you could start working on for next week? What would be your initial stage?
What I find interesting to work on is that the whole project is about participate. It's like a big process of participation, and I think it's interesting to investigate in what way the participation can continue after design, because now it's very intensive this period until the end of this year, until the Christmas, with a lot of workshops local at Hamar, and then we have the stage or the phase with design, and when in that stage and afterwards, in what way is it possible to continue or in other way develop concepts of participation that will actually be present at the public square in the next years to come, like in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So it's about I'm interested in like how to investigate some kind of ideas, concept about a design that will maintain the character of participation after it's finished.
Wow.
And because this is it's about, of course, a lot of dealing with interaction and change in the future, and also about, of course, the multitude and the diversity of users, and so yeah, how do you deal with this? Yeah, it's the baby.
You should include your baby. What's his name?
Sigrid.
Sigrid. You should ask Sigrid to contribute to the workshop, because I think
she's very interested in being a part of it.
Yeah, I think Christian, I think you really hit the pot, because that's the ultimate question is how can we keep ongoing participation and especially in a context like Hamar, which I think the challenge is to produce or to enhance participation, to make people look at the project as something of their own, to take part in it, to feel enthusiastic, to feel involved, to feel identified, and that's a very big target by itself. It's a huge target, very difficult target. But if you think about like how can we keep this going? Hey, don't go away. Sigrid. Okay, so I was saying like how did the first part of it is make people participate. Bring her with you. I mean, no problem. We will be glad to see her. No problem. And the second part, I think, is like, okay, are you sure this this should be done, this kind of enhancing sustainable participation, do you think it should be done through design, or should it or could it be done through other devices, more of a social community life, more, you know, not strictly design, or maybe design includes also these other devices? What do you think about it?
I think this is very the core of the question, because this semester is very intensive social things happening at at Hamar with on-site workshops. So okay, either you can continue with that kind of social or political or different meetings, or you can focus on the actual design of the space and try to kind of actually some kind of physical material manifestations that represents or produce some kind of or open up for kind of participation. So the question is double.
Okay. Okay.
I think for my focus, I would like to think about the design of the space. In what way can this, in some way, manifest or continue some the concept of participation?
Okay, I think that's a good. I mean, I think it's a very, very interesting topic, and I would really add a key to the project in terms of its sustainability. So, Rosanna, what would you think? Where you can start thinking about? What would be your initial sort of contribution? Hello, Rosanna?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's really difficult, this connection. Okay. Could you please repeat the question? Because it's really...
Yeah,
Hello?
go on. Yeah. Can you repeat that again, please?
No, repeat the question.
Oh, my question, yeah. I'm asking you, what would be your contribution? We are sort of setting the homework for next week. So what do you think you could start tackling, looking at from your point of view about the project?
Well,
Hello, are you there, Rosanna? Can you hear me?
yeah. I'm here. Sorry. I try to analyze the more information. Have a more aspect to consider, social aspect and physical aspect. I think the square have grown individually in some aspects. So my homework is to read more for get more information, and I try to understand this concept.
You need to be very specific on that, because unfortunately, there isn't a lot of information available in the city of Hamar in English. Yeah. I don't know how your Norwegian is, but if it's like mine, which is non-existent, we have a problem with finding detailed information on the population between very general, beyond very general information about it. So be aware of that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so is there any? Well, Sigrid, we have to say hi to Sigrid, which is it's a very nice potential user of public spaces, which is eating Daddy's wire at the moment. Well, thank you very much. I think do you want to add something else? Is there any other contribution you think it might be interesting to close this first session? What do you think? You want to say something? Okay, Eva.
I want to ask you the contribution, as you say, in the task. Which format do you expect? A post, something like that. What are you expecting?
Okay. Sorry.
I'm trying to say that the contribution, the task you are expecting, what kind?
Okay.
A plan, a post, or what?
Okay. Please mute the microphone. Okay. Well, I think to start, the best thing would be exactly what you have done, Eva. I mean, start contributing to the blog by just sharing your thoughts, even if you don't have a clear design. So you have already done it. I think it could be useful, for instance, for Rosanna, that maybe she doesn't have a clear idea of what she's developing. I think even if it's very generic, just use the blog to share, because if you share it, it's fixed. It's I mean, you have done something with your ideas. So I think this is the first step, and I really encourage you to use the blog, because as you are a registered participant, you can publish it. And for any problems, just write us at dreamhammer@gmail.com. Utska, which that is coordinating the chat, will help you. So thank you very much, Eva, for taking the time to share with us your thoughts. For the next steps, I think that for mid-October, maybe in 7 days, in a week, we will need to have like a very quick idea of what you are working on, and I think it could be a post. When I'm saying post, I mean one image, up to 3 images, and a short text describing what you are working on. Okay, and then at the end of the month, we will ask you to make a final submission of your project, of your proposal, and that I'm very. What's Eva? What's the problem? You can't hear us. Why you were? Now it's okay.
There was an interference and I couldn't understand you.
Okay, it was addressed. It was using keyboard. Okay, so I was saying, for this final submission at the end of the month, I would like to keep the format of submission quite open, because we will give you like a general structure, and I think that the submission should be a PDF from a very general format, in which you can put images. And I think, to give you an idea, the best format would be a PDF of 1 up to 3 pages. And if you are designing, if you are making, for instance, if you are developing an architecture design, yes, you can send plans and sections. In my idea, I mean, when I imagine the workshop, it's not what I'm expecting, but you can, I mean, everybody can develop the project.
Yeah, I mean, beyond this idea, I think also you could, I mean, if you contribute with images, that's perfect. But maybe if you're thinking in something which is not just a physical intervention, but rather, like Christian was suggesting, maybe more kind of program or strategy to keep on activities in the square. You might not need so much images. You might use PowerPoint or Prezi or just video or Word, like any format, of course, you want. You don't get obsessed with images. This is this kind of architect's obsession. But normal people don't use. We also use letters and words,
Okay, I think that even if you are not producing architectural design, it's very important to make a graphic submission of your ideas. You know, even if you are working on a program or connection between social groups, I think it's very important to visualize it. You know, and just to tell you how we are going to use that. So we have a database with the inputs from citizens, and we have a database with inputs from you, and we will try to first of all, we try to process the information you are sending. We are including the information and your proposal on the final delivery to the Comune of Hamar, and we are thinking about including some works in the final exhibition taking place in December in Hamar. And the main idea of that, I think for you, the most interesting thing is what you already started doing in the blog. It's sharing your interests, sharing what you are doing, sharing your profession, your ideas, as Eva is already doing with her inquietudes. I don't know, her challenges or thoughts.
Yeah.
And also what we are interested in is to build connection between you and also between you and the people from Hamar, between these cultures, 2 or 3. I think we have 3 cultures today in the workshop. We will have more soon, I think. So okay, I think it.
I think that's not. I'm happy with these. I think it has been quite rich, and I think we have a good combination of talents and enthusiasm, and also critical view on the project. And I hope this critical view would develop much more even. So yeah, we'll see. We meet tomorrow again in the open session. So we will have a look to. This is my time of speaking all the time. So we would have a look to different perceptions on public space and uses of public space, and I hope you find it interesting. So I'll see you tomorrow at 6 Spanish time.
Yes, tomorrow it will be not on Google Plus, but on the Digital Lab, dreamhammer.org/Digital Lab. Okay, and you can also follow on the live stream channel if you want. Okay, see you tomorrow at 6. Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.